Good morning and happy Thursday. Usually at 10 o'clock on Thursdays in my private Lady Boss networking hive, I go live and I answer a frequently asked question, usually about business. I've talked about things like accounting and marketing and copywriting and things of that nature. And today, this week, I want to talk about something that I think really pertains to everybody, regardless of whether you're a lady boss or a business owner or not. And that is the negative self-talk spirals that we kind of get ourselves into. And this has been on my mind lately because it's been going through my mind lately. I have been on a negative self-talk spiral, on and off, mostly on for the past few weeks, and I feel like I'm finally coming out of it. And I've made myself a new tool so that I can kind of stay out of it a little bit longer. Oh, hi, Brandy and Michelle. And so I just want to talk a little bit about that today and my experiences with it. I'm also writing up another article/blog post about it, and I'm going to share the worksheet that I have there as well. But I'll add it to the comments. I think I can add pictures as comments. And if not, I'll link to it or something so you guys can have this emergency sheet as well. But basically, a couple of weeks ago, I started my negative self-talk spiral, and they all kind of happen the same way, right? Like, they all kind of happen on accident, and we don't necessarily know when we're in them. We don't know exactly where they start, but we realize that we're in them at some point. You're just down in the dumps, and, you're questioning everything about yourself. And so a couple of weeks ago, I was just having a talk with a friend, and things were going really, really well. And somebody that, I know and love and trust, and had a lot of exciting things going on in her life, with, jobs and relationships and everything else. And I caught myself later that same day, I think, thinking, about myself and comparing myself to her and my situation to her. And, just kind of thinking, like, who even am I? What am I doing with my life? Like, I don't have, all of these things that this other person has. And it really made me question what I'm doing. And as a lot of you know, I try to live, hi, Mama. I try to live a pretty fulfilling and authentic life. And I want to be honest with myself and with others. And I'm always trying to better myself. But having this negative self-talk spiral happen in my brain, is part of life, and it wasn't, the last one by any means. I'm sure it'll happen again, but now I have more tools to deal with it. But anyway, so it made me question, like, everything that I'm doing in life. It made me question the businesses that I'm growing. It made me question, everything that I'm doing in my personal life and my professional life and everything. And I felt really behind, in the game of life. We're in the same place in a lot of ways, similar ages, similar, life stories, and then to suddenly feel like you're really behind on this race that you didn't really know you were a part of, is kind of goofy. And, if I compare apples to apples, my life to somebody else's life, I don't necessarily want that other person's life. I don't want their job. I don't want, their whatever it is that I'm feeling comparison-y about. I want the life that I'm living. That's why I'm living it, and I've built it in a way that I want to live it. And, I have certain things that I want to do in the next year. And, I don't want to buy another house right now. What I want to do is buy a van and make that my house. I don't want a giant salary with a Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 with benefits, although, healthcare would be great. I don't necessarily want all these things. So why would my brain even want to compare myself to somebody who has those things? I'm sure part of it is, trying to protect myself and keep myself safe, right? Because your brain isn't trying to hurt you, but it does do that sometimes, when you compare yourself to other people, when you compare your lives to theirs, when you compare your bodies to theirs, if they have a brand new puppy and you don't, and you want the puppy, but realistically, responsibly, you're not in a place to take care of a puppy. That wouldn't be good for you or for them. But, we get this comparison, jealousy, inadequacy thing that really happens within us, and it starts out as like a negative self-talk. It spirals, away from the thing that you were comparing into suddenly, your whole life is inadequate and not right, and you're on the wrong path, and who even are you? What are you doing with yourself? You're going to end up in a cardboard box on the side of the road and you're going to die. It's very swift, very creative. And if you can recognize that you're in it, then there are a lot of steps you can take to get out of it. And so I made this emergency sheet for myself, basically. So once I realize that I'm in a downward spiral, because like I said, I can't tell when they tick themselves off. I don't know exactly when they start, but I always know when I'm in them, because it feels like shit. Your belly feels all gross, and you have anxiety. It feels like ants under your skin sometimes, and you're just like panicky and awful. None of those feelings feel good. But so once you realize that you're in those situations, I personally just made myself this sheet that has 5 things on it that I can do immediately once I realize that I'm in it, to try and snap myself out of it and just like move on and get back to the healthy, happy place where I know I'm living an authentic and fulfilling life. So the first thing is to physically move your body. Get up. If you're sitting in a chair and you realize that you're in this negative spiral, like, stand the fuck up. Do like some kind of like mini dance routine, even if it feels ridiculous. Like, just do it. Move. Change your physiology. Change your body. It'll change the chemistry in your brain. Do the superhero pose where you put your hands on your hips and you stand up real tall. Do it for 2 whole minutes. Set a timer, because it really, like, it feels ridiculous, but it actually works. Or put your hands up in the victory pose for 2 whole minutes. Use a timer. It works. Just move your body, change your perspective. If that doesn't quite work, headstands also a good option, because it reverses like the flow of blood, and it's really good for you. You don't necessarily have to hold a headstand for 2 minutes. 30 seconds at least is good there. If you can't do a full headstand, like, lay on your bed and scoot yourself off so that your head is at least like back and down and below you. It makes a huge difference. Do some jumping jacks, something like that. Move. That's the first thing. The second thing is to kind of balance and change your perspective. So for me, my dog, Mona Lisa, is underneath my desk right now and is adorable. But I can change my perspective and kind of view the situation from where she would be viewing it as step 2. And dogs are a good one because they are super in the moment. They don't have the ability to, be anxious about things that may or may not happen in the future, or may not have happened in the past, or may not be happening right now. All they are is in the present. So if I were looking at a situation where I was feeling inadequate and behind and like a loser at life, I can change, like, all right, what would Lisa feel about this right now? Honestly, she just wants to go chase squirrels. So maybe I should just go chase a squirrel. Just take her for a little WALK and, move really fast, make sure I'm like breathing. But changing your perspective is really a good second step after you start moving. And if you don't have an animal, you can take Lisa's perspective. If not, take another human being's perspective. What would your mother think of this, or your father, or a really supportive friend, or me? I would probably think that your situation is great and you have nothing to worry about. And if you want to talk about changing perspectives, if you're having a negative self-talk moment, reach out, send me a text or something, and I can help you see another perspective on that. So the first one is to get up, move around, strike a pose, and the second one is to change your perspective. The third step on my emergency sheet is to find evidence of a contrary experience. And this one is really interesting because it does make you look at factual evidence of your life thus far. So if, for example, you're having a negative spiral about not making enough money, and not having enough money, and you're in debt and you feel broke and stuff like that. Think about a time in your life when you have received money, when you have made money, when you've created money, when you've earned money. Think about a time when that's happened. Like, have you ever had money before? Yeah. Pretty much everybody's had money before. And so just because you feel lacking right now doesn't mean that you always have and you always will. So if you're feeling inadequate as far as your personal relationships go, think about, have you ever had a friend before? Or have you ever felt love for someone or from someone? I mean, yeah, we all have. We've all felt love for or from someone. So finding evidence of a contrary experience, of the complete opposite experience that you've created or received or had or whatever in life, is the third step. It's always going to be out there. It might not be in the ways that you expect, but after you get up and you change your perspective, it'll be easier for you to find evidence of a contrary experience that you've already had, therefore proving that your negative self-talk spiral is just that. It's not factual at all. It's just in the moment frustration and comparison. The fourth step is to create yourself a mantra. So something like an affirmation, I am happy, I am healthy, I am wealthy. Sometimes I sing myself a little song, and it goes to the tune of I feel pretty. And some of you might have heard this before, and if you haven't, you're going to hear it now. So it goes a little like this. I feel healthy, oh so healthy. I feel healthy and wealthy and wise. And I pity any girl who isn't me tonight. And I kind of just repeat that line to myself, and it makes me feel kind of ridiculous. It makes me laugh at myself. And even if I don't necessarily feel healthy, wealthy, and wise afterwards, I feel better because it's kind of a goofy thing to do. So I recommend you guys do that. So give yourself a little mantra, whether it's, a silly song like that makes you feel better, or, something more serious. If that's more your speed or more what you need in that moment. Do a mantra. Say it to yourself over and over again. Write it on a sticky note. Put it on your computer. Like, make it the lock screen on your phone. Put it somewhere where you'll see it. Tell somebody else to remind you of it. Have that mantra, that affirmation around you at all times. So after these four, the get up and move, strike a pose, change your perspective, see it from another balanced situation, find evidence of a contrary experience that you've had in the past, create your mantra or your affirmation. The fifth thing, and this is a surefire way to make sure that you can snap out of your negative self-talk, is to do a nice thing for somebody else. Do a random act of kindness. This makes you feel amazing. It makes you feel like you're in control of your life. You're in control of that situation, at least. You are 100% in control of whether you do a kind thing for somebody else. And it changes the chemistry in your brain. It releases a lot of feel-good hormones. And it does something nice for somebody else. So whether or not you believe in karma, you're doing a good thing and you're spreading cheer around. And that might ripple onto, not just the person that you did a nice thing for, but the people that they come into contact with later in the day. So, if you're going to a coffee shop or to a bar or something, maybe buy a pay it forward beer. I do this somewhat regularly. I'm going to make it a more regular thing just because it feels good. And tell whoever that, you're going to buy the next person in line, or, some random person who they think needs it throughout the day. Or you can make it a really specific thing. Find someone who has given you some kind of inspiration or motivation or made you feel really good, whether that's someone that you know personally or, some like big name like Tony Robbins or something. If he does something that makes you feel good, donate time or money to that other person as well. A random act of kindness is one of the best things that you can do to really snap yourself out of a funk. I know that one from experience. I know all of these from experience. That's why I wrote the sheet down. But when you're in that negative spiral, the thing is to recognize it and then be able to stop it. And so usually when I'm in those spirals, I can't see the solution to getting out of them. And that's normal too. Your brain does this thing where it cuts off access to your prefrontal cortex, so you can't actually solve problems when you're in a stressed out situation. So talking to somebody else about it is really where you're going to find your answer, or create these little cheat sheets for yourself. So like this emergency sheet I made for myself, because when I'm in the negative spiral, I know that I'm in it, but I don't know how to get out of it, even though it could be as easy as changing my physiology. When I'm in it, I can't see the answer. Your brain literally will not let you access the answer to that problem. So create a cheat sheet for yourself, or download the one that I'm going to upload in the comments, so that you have this the next time you realize you're in it. You have to realize you're in the negative spiral so that you can then use the tools that you have pre-set up for yourself, or that I'm setting up for you, if that's the case, so that then you can get out of it. And sometimes it might be easy. It might just be snapping out of it. It might be that fast. Sometimes it might take a little bit more time, but that's fine, as long as you don't keep going down that path of negativity, because that's not healthy for you. That's not good for you. That's not good for anybody else either, but really for you, that's not healthy, and it could shorten your lifespan. And, being stressed and feeling lonely and isolated is not a good thing. So if you're feeling any of these negative things, stressed, isolated, lonely, any of that, don't hesitate to reach out, whether it's to me or somebody else. You are loved. Everybody loves you, and you need to also love you. So again, the 5 things: get up, change your perspective, change your physiology, and then change your perspective. Go chase a squirrel or something. Be more in the moment. Find evidence of a contrary experience. Create yourself a little mantra or an affirmation, and then conduct a random act of kindness. So I hope you guys have an awesome Thursday, and let's connect soon.